In this video, you'll learn how to install Drupal 9 on WAMP with Composer. So you're probably here because of all the ways you could develop your sites on your Windows machine, you want to use WAMP. Maybe you're just used to it like me or some other weird reason. But I mean, it's already installed on your system, so why bother trying to learn setting up something else when at the moment you just want to get on with learning Drupal 9, right? I'm assuming that you've already installed Composer and have set up your local requirements to be able to run Drupal 9. If you haven't yet, I'll leave links on the video description for instructions. And here's a step-by-step checklist that we'll cross out along the way. This will also be in the video description or a link. I'm not sure yet. Enough of this, let's get on with it. So what I like to do is I like to create the folder for the root of the website that we're gonna be testing on. So in this case, let's do D9 Composer. Hit enter. If you open it, you'll see that it's a blank folder, of course. And I like to put it under my secondary folder after C, which is WAMP sites, just so I don't have any many folders on my C drive. I just like to be organized like that. You can do things your own way. And then next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the Drupal documentation where it shows you how to use Composer to install Drupal and manage dependencies. I'll provide the link at the description below or at a blog post. Again, I'm not sure yet. We go down to create project and the important code is here. Now, you can actually go to command prompt and type this all in manually. If you're sure about yourself, yeah, sure, go ahead. In my case, sometimes I would just rather copy and paste and then copy and paste it to command prompt just so I don't make any mistakes, or at least I make less mistakes. And what I like to do after that is I want to go to NOTEPAD and copy and paste that. Sometimes what happens is you forget things, and if you put it on Notepad first, you give yourself less chances of making mistakes when you copy and paste going to command prompt, because you don't want to enter some commands and then find out that there's like a space you didn't see somewhere or something like that. So this is what we copy and pasted. It says Composer because you're calling Composer to do something and you want to create a project. Composer will know that it's Drupal 9 because of this command. It says here Drupal. In our case, we're going to do recommended project right here. If you know of any other projects that you want to use, you can use the documentation and just as long as you're following the right syntax, you can change this. But in my case, I like to use recommended project because then I know that this is what the Drupal team recommends. And for now, it's Drupal 9 and that's what we want to install. So we'll go ahead and do that. And so I will not change any of this. This one I have to change. I have to change it to the folder we just created, which is D9 Composer. So let's just copy and paste this to Notepad 2. There you go. I want to copy and paste this just so I don't make any mistakes, and then I'll replace this. There you go. Now I copy and paste this and cross out the first item on my checklist, and then I open, in my case, command prompt. You might be used to using something else for your command line. Sometimes I use Visual Composer, sometimes I use this. In this case, let's just use this. So you want to go to C and then Over here, what you want to do is you want to go to the folder that is containing the root directory, which is in my case, C WAMP sites. So there you go, C WAMP sites. And I'll show you why later. Hit enter and cross out the next step. Now, the reason why we want to start there is because in the code that we copy and pasted from the Drupal website, you can see here it says create project, and then it says here the folder. Now, what's going to happen is it's going to install Drupal on this folder inside it. So copy and paste it here. Also, in our case, we created this folder and it's blank. If in case you are at WAMP sites, right, and then you change this to something else, let's say Composer 2, and you hit enter, doesn't matter if the folder was created, it's going to create that folder for you. So it's going to make another one called D9 Composer 2, and that's where it's going to install your Drupal. In our case, we already made the folder, and it's the same exact one, so that's where it's going to install it to. Now I'll double check if everything is fine, and I will click enter to start creating the project on the D9 Composer folder. Now this is going to take around 5 minutes, so we're going to do something else while this happens. At the moment, we want to cross out this step because we're already done with it. And the next step we're going to do is to go to PHPMYADMIN and create the database. So you want to go to the WAMP icon and then click on PHPMYADMIN. You want to click on new. And for this one, I will create a database named D9Comp 1. Create that. That's good. Now we can cross out this step. On to the next step, we go to WAMP and create your alias. And you point it to the web folder inside your root. Now, there's two things you have to remember here. You have to remember here that you have to wait for your composer to finish downloading all of your files. Just because when you go to the folder, you'll see here that it has web and vendor and some other files inside. This is not what Drupal used to look like. This inside the root folder before, you would already see the root files of Drupal. Now, if you install with Composer, you will see a vendor and web. And what you want to do is you want to point your domain or your alias to the web folder. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to WAMP and then Apache alias directories and then add an alias. You want to type in my case, I always want it to be the same as the name on the folder, so I'll go D9 Composer. All right, and then I copied and pasted where the root folder is, so it's D9 Composer, right? WAMP sites, and what I want to do is I want to go and add web. Copy that. Go back here. Double check everything is correct and click on enter. Now it's going to say your alias is created. Press enter to exit. When you go back now to your WAMP, you will see on your aliases that it's already here. Now, before we go on, I want to just cross out this next step. Okay, and now what we want to do is open your alias on the browser and install Drupal. So we go back to the WAMP icon and you want to go to your aliases and click on the alias you just created, which is D9 Composer. and it will go to your browser and set you up for the install. So all you have to do is just follow this, save and continue for the first step. You want to do a standard, that's what I always do. Verify requirements or set up database. Over here, we created the D9 Comp1 database on PHPMYADMIN. That's what you want to put here. So D9 Comp1, and I'll add in my username and password. For advanced options, I like to keep my table name prefix blank and just leave this. So I'll click save and continue. And now it's going to install the site. It's going to take around maybe 2 to 3 minutes to do this. So I'm going to pause the video and come back at the next step. Okay, we're back now and the site has been installed. So in this page, you just want to fill out the information based on the site that you're making. In this case, we'll just put D9 Composer. I like to use the name of the site and then master whenever I'm developing, just so I don't forget anything. And then I want to use I like using the username and the password to be the same as each other, just so I don't need to remember things while I'm developing. But remember to change this when you're about to give your website to your client, of course. Now I'll add my email address. And then I usually just remove the receive email notifications just so my inbox doesn't get spammed, and then save and continue. And then we want to go back to our little checklist and cross number 6 out. So I'll get back to you when this is done. So setup is done and we're at the front page of our new website. This should start working already, right? But if you notice, if I click here, it's going to say it's not found. This is because we need to do additional edits to the HTACCESS file for us to be able to make the site work. So if you can remember, we installed our Drupal alias inside the web folder, right? Now the Drupal install wants us to be able to see this folder as the document root. So what we want to do is we want to open up HTACCESS, right? So click on open. In my case, it's already open. For me, this is what I saw that works. If you comment this out and then you go copy and paste this folder, right? Because that's what Drupal wants to see as the document root. And if you save it, now we go back to the site and just refresh it for good measure. And then if you click on one of the links now, this should work. Let's see if it does. I'll click on structure and there you go. We also want to check if our aliases are working. So you want to go to content. You want to click on add content and article. And then you want to do test content with URL alias. You want to go here at URL alias, and then maybe we'll make the alias test dash alias. Type in a little bit of body text. Save it. Okay. If you're used to working with Drupal 7 or below, whenever you create a URL alias, you would just like add it here and that should be fine. But Drupal 8 onwards, including Drupal 9, which what we're using right now, you need to specify a slash right before. That's one change. So you'll remember that, of course, when you get an error. So click on save. Now we see that the alias also works. So that should be good. And now we'll cross out the last item in our list, which means we are done. So before we end the video, I'd like to state that these videos are by no means definitive guides to Drupal development. This is what I found that worked for me over a bunch of years designing and building websites for clients. There's plenty of other ways to go from point A to B in Drupal. If you were trying to go this route and needed help, I hope you found this video helpful and easy to understand. If you did, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel. Enjoy your day. Bye.